Guys, today is the 15th of February 2020 and it's 8 minutes past 3 in the morning over here in the UK. I don't want to make this video very long, I just want to do a very quick interpretation, and it's just because it's today and the way that I'm thinking about things, I feel that a warning should be placed out there just in case. Storm Dennis is coming in over this weekend, going to hit the UK. This is the fourth storm to generate out of the Atlantic. That number 4 in association with the storms, the IPEC Go 2 video, and the 4 icicles on the wall below the map, which signify winter storms. It's interesting that they're calling this storm now a weather bomb, and that's because the air pressure in the center it dropped rapidly and remains, as you can see, it's like a dark black hole in the center. And obviously with this storm coming in, you can see the images on screen, especially this one here. It comes in like a swirling pattern similar to a hurricane, but not actually classed as a hurricane. Just looking at the iPad Go 2 video, if I'll just go back very quickly, in this scene the blue character is wearing that frog mask, and I've talked about that in the previous videos being associated with like navy frogmen, aquatic type military. Points towards the flames and then spins around in the circle. Now I'm interpreting that circle as the storm or the hurricane, that circular movement. It's the same thing that the George Bush character does in the beginning of the video with his head twirling around. Then he does that kind of arm flex movement like break dancers do, but that indicates waves and water. Again, similar to the iPad Go 2 video where the Bush character's arms lift up and then he pushes his arms towards the map, as in some sort of water, some sort of flood coming in. And obviously with this storm Dennis, people are being warned about the potential for flooding with heavy rainfall, and there's going to be, you know, up to 2 meters of snow, they say, in various places. And again, that brings me to outside of the classroom where the clock tower, which reminds me of Big Ben, is covered in snow. So if snow starts falling here, then that could be, you know, something to watch out for. The sharks coming up again seems to indicate movement of submarines underneath this storm or hurricane. It may not be this one, it could be another one, could have happened already, doubtful if other events haven't taken place, but you know, these are the events we're looking out for. There's a storm coming and there's the potential for these submarines to be moving underneath it. What we then get next is the blue character dressed in the bear mask, which is obviously, in my interpretation, I believe that's a connection to Russia. So the submarines in this video potentially are connected to Russia, as well as the frogmen. So that may be a whole connection. The frogmen, the submarines, the bear, all coming from Russia, indicating a naval sort of assault during some sort of circular storm event or a hurricane or something else. But then we get the jumping up of the bird in the black and white, and obviously on the wings here, I was a bit too slow to catch it, so I can catch it properly this time. Yeah, so on the wings here I can see the number 2 on this side and the number 5 on this side, but I've never thought to include the mask itself as a potential indicator of a number as well. I've always just thought 2-5 or 2-3 in very earlier interpretations, but if it was 2-5, then I was looking at, you know, February the 5th, for example, or January the 15th as another one. But if you do include the mask, because again, we've got the black and white, this is the only other black and white, then the number that seems to appear here is the number 1, as well as a pyramid or a triangle. So that could be an interpretation for 215, which could interpret as February the 15th. Over here again, another potential connection to the UK. I pointed out before with the bell in the background. Just there, you can see the ringer just at the bottom there. Again, something associated with Big Ben. Other bells around the world, of course, but Big Ben is one of the more famous ones. When I started thinking about all of that potentially unfolding today, I was thinking what time? 3 o'clock is always a interesting time, but it's now 3:14, so maybe not looking out for it at this time, but there is another time in this video I think that may be significant, which is in relation to the lighthouse and the lady within it. Have I passed it? Yes, I have. The reason I say that is because I've shown you guys before that the tower, which is also a penis, we know that, is also a helmet in chainmail with a cross on top, which is like a crusader type thing. And again, that whole look is connected to Britain and the UK. And then when we go inside of the tower or the helmet, the lady looking out sees a missile coming down. I think you guys have seen that before, so I'm not, or maybe I will try and catch it. It's all in normal speed, so bear with me. There it is. The little white dot there travels across her eye, and that indicates some sort of impact. I've looked at the possibility of a meteor, asteroid impact, but you know, more likely some sort of missile launch. Obviously, as we're looking at that in her eye, we've also got the circular storm or hurricane surrounding it. So again, it ties into that missile launch during some sort of circular meteorological event. And then we know that she backs up away. We've got all the waves in the background, and again we're connected to sharks or a submarine with the shark in the background behind her, the eye just here, the 5 making up the gills, which brings me to the time of potentially 5 o'clock AM, PM, I don't know, but it seems to take place as this storm is coming in. Obviously 5 is one of the numbers that you need to make the number 15, which obviously today is February the 15th. So again, just putting it out there, what I mentioned earlier with the George Bush character comes up in this scene. Swirling head indicating some sort of storm, upward arms, underwater, tsunami, flood sort of thing. And then you saw there, just as his head looks up and goes over, that's some sort of missile launch. And again, emphasis on the shark in the background, submarine, and the missile up here. So that scenario repeats over and over again. Another connection to the number 15 is just down here, but it's in 2 different formats. The X would be in Roman numerals for the number 10, and the 5 is in tally marks, just like it is in Tower, which is not Roman numerals. So you've got 2 different formats for numbers being used. If you put them all together, you've got 2 different formats. So that's the number 2, then you've got the number 5, and then you've got the number 10, potentially 215. These can be taken together. We have that same thing again, the flood, the tsunami, indication of the UK just down here, again with the number 15, going back just a bit where we've got the red and blue color scheme, red, blue and white, again another UK reference, also a United States reference, and other countries. Predominantly this video talks about the United States and the UK in my opinion. And in this scene with the blue and red color scheme, B and R, the exit lit in the background, potential for connecting the B and R to exit for Brexit, another UK reference. The hair in the background having some sort of reference to Alice in Wonderland. Again, this character here potentially having connections to Alice from that book. Was written by Carol Lewis, a British author. So again, bringing us back to the UK, and just in the background behind the 12th character's head, as I've pointed out before, appears to be an interpretation for the number 15 with the Kala lily, which symbolizes death, and a large crater on the head, which, if you take the context of it being on his head out of context, it could very well be just an indication of a crater left by some sort of impact or explosion. Again, this character is blue, so that impact could be in the water, which could be what generates the tsunami, another indication of that over here. A lot of different interpretations, I know, and to be honest, as I said, I don't want to do these things anymore, but I'm sitting here today and I'm reading news reports and thinking I'm just going to do some news reports. I read one which I was going to report on, which is about Donald Trump sending tactical armed forces to sanctuary cities, but then I came across this and the fact that they were calling it a weather bomb, or whatever they call it. Yeah, weather bomb. And obviously, with the interpretation of a missile or a bomb, it just made me want to warn people. And I don't think it's a bad thing that I want to warn people, so they can, potentially be alert if these things do happen. It's great if they don't, but to be alert if they do is also a good thing. And still, we have the coronavirus and everything else going on, and the other potential event that we have to keep an eye out on, also in connection with the character with the number 15 behind his head, is the event with Donald Trump, of course, with that number 15 appearing on his eyebrow, or at least the numbers 2 and 5 appearing on his eyebrow. I'll see when I get closer. Yeah, so again, potentially 1 and 5, an interpretation that I've looked at before. I hope and pray these things don't happen, and I really, apologize for making this interpretation. I hope I don't make any more. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.